Time for a bit of straight talk after that. National Senator M.Canavan's with us. G'day, Matt.
Morning, Stephen. How are you, mate?
Very well. Now, I want to talk about something that I saw on your Twitter feed earlier in the week. And has this climate catastrophism gotten to such a ridiculous point that we now have this concept of anti-natalism, where people are refusing to have children, firstly because it's bad for the environment, and secondly because they don't want to bring kids into this horrible world that's going to end tomorrow?
Well, yeah, it has been bubbling away for a few years. Actually, the ABC promoted this ridiculous ideology, I think, last week, and then this week an article in The Guardian from a young girl. Of course, she's a lovely young girl, but she says, she's not sure if she can bring kids into this, what she terms, burning planet. And, the problem with this is not just, of course, how dystopian this view is. It's also just wrong. It's just wrong and not consistent with the facts. The facts are that there is actually less area being burnt around the world, much less over this century. It's been a dramatic reduction in burned areas. It's not a burning planet, including in Australia. So, yes, we've had some pretty bad bushfires in the last 20 years, certainly around your area in the ACT, but the actual area burned in Australia from bushfires has declined significantly in the last 20 years. You can go look that up. You can go to a website called Our World in Data, type in that. They call them wildfires, is the global term, and you can see it for yourself. But what are our kids being taught in school where they come out of it learning things that aren't true?
But even more frightening than that, we had, and you were quite combative in the Senate inquiry on climate change and information integrity, where we're told that there should be, well, effectively, there should be laws against anyone that questions the climate change catastrophism.
Yeah, I think what's happening here, Stephen, is that these Chicken Littles, these modern-day Chicken Littles that are saying the sky's falling in, are losing the debate. They're losing because ultimately reality bites. The people that have been advocating for net zero emissions, for radical climate action, have promised that if we do this, we'll get cheaper energy prices. If we do this, we'll get all these jobs in green metals and green industries. We actually, while we were sitting in the Senate inquiry, the announcement from Alcoa, an aluminium company based in the US, they put out a release saying they're permanently closing the alumina refinery at Kwinana in Western Australia. Yeah. So we keep losing these industries while adopting this agenda. And those people are getting very upset about people who point out the scoreboard. They say, look at the scoreboard, you guys aren't scoring any runs. Yeah. And their answer to that is not to try and get out there and hit some boundaries. Their answer is just to rig the rules and say, no, you guys can't go out and bat at all. So it's just not cricket, certainly not Australian. And I hope the government doesn't go this past. Some radical Greens in the Senate and then some of the radical Labor senators seem over the moon about the idea of silencing and censoring their critics. And how about that for democracy?
But the scary thing here is that there's been an analysis showing that at least $108 million, and probably more than that, has flowed into Australia from foreign donors to underwrite these third-party groups dedicated to shutting down the use of fossil fuels and other progressive agendas. So it's not even being driven locally. This is foreign interference writ large.
Yeah, this has been an open secret for some time. There's a body called the Sunrise Project who openly sort of coordinate this, and there's a lot of money clearly coming in from the United States to Australian politics. Quite often, I'll be accused, or Conservative politicians will be accused of taking foreign donations, and that's just simply not true. But clearly there's a lot of foreign money going in to fund these environmental campaigns. The only people that are scoring runs in the climate agenda are large renewable energy companies, often foreign-owned, who are making bank off the gullibility of Australian governments. And they're selling them the solar panels and the wind turbines are almost invariably made overseas. And then we have to all pay for that in higher power bills. But other people, of course, make money from those higher power bills, and often they're overseas, they're foreign-funded, foreign firms. And I think this is very, very concerning to have this much money come into the Australian political scene. We're just too small to withstand this. If you put $100 million into Australian politics, you make a real difference. Yeah. And that's a real concern of mine when that's not even Australian money.
But it becomes even more galling when you look at the statement from the Treasurer last week when he announced that his deficit was smaller than he expected it to be because we actually planned to spend more money on top of our record spending than we did. But then they keep telling us that standard of living is improving, real wages are going up. Do they not talk to real Australians who've seen their energy bills go through the roof in recent years? Mine's just gone up again. But I still have Labor politicians tell me, no, our energy prices are coming down because of renewables. I mean, are they just delusional, or is this a blatant lie?
Well, I think you're an emperor with no clothes. And we just need more people pointing out they do have no clothes. And because clearly, as I say, reality bites. The government now is trying to convince people to not believe your lying eyes. You can see your power bills go up every quarter. You get the bill. You know your standard of living has gone backwards. Real wages are back 10 years. They're back to 2012 levels, in fact. Yeah. And so then they go up by 0.1%, and the government comes out and says, real wages are up. Yeah. They're up. But they're actually up from a level that were 2011 levels. And so people can see this. People are getting more and more frustrated. And ultimately, as long as we, like our challenge now, opposition, is to put up a real alternative, which I just think we failed to do at the election this year. Yeah. We've got to put up a real change to make this thing better, because things could be a lot better in this country if we focused on Australia, if we focused on using our energy resources for our own purposes, if we focused on protecting our border with a manageable migration program that allows young people to afford a home. That's got to be our focus. We focus on those things, I think we will get change in this country eventually.
Now, I want to touch on one other thing before I let you go. A Resolve poll that was conducted last month of 1,800 Australians found that 49% of Aussies think the permanent immigration level is too high, 27% say it's about right, 5%, funnily enough, say it's too low. Does that mean 49% of Australians are racist?
Well, I don't think so. I definitely don't think anyone that's concerned about mass migration is racist. It's not racist to say that. It's absolutely the job of the Australian government to govern with the interests of the Australian people. Now, they are people of all different races, all different ethnicities. We're a very welcoming country. But once you're an Australian, you're in a special club that the Australian government should look after. And so our migration program, the number of people we take in each year, should be set in the same way every policy is set, and that is within the interests of the Australian people. If it's the interests of our people that are here to have more people come to this country, great. That's fantastic, and we've done that over time. But clearly there is a limit. Clearly there's a limit on our welcome mat that we can take each year without making things worse for Australians here. And that limit should be set on our ability to build homes, to build hospitals, to integrate people, to assimilate people into our culture. They have to adopt Australian values and Australian cultures to be an Australian. And obviously the more people we take in, the harder that becomes. And so all of those things have to be considered, which I just don't think they are. I think after COVID, this Labor government just opened the floodgates, let everybody in, particularly into the universities, through the student migration program. And we're now taking in a Canberra, effectively the size of Canberra, every year. Yeah. And we're not building a Canberra every year, not building the hospitals, the roads, the public services that a Canberra needs in every year, and that's got to stop.
But that's the point, isn't it? And I'm not one of these people that opposes the concept of a big Australia. I mean, if we got our water situation right, if we got our infrastructure right, if we had enough housing, bring in as many people as we can fit. But unfortunately, we're not doing any of that. And we're not even addressing the skills shortage by bringing in the right people to fill those skills shortages that we have.
The point I'd make there, Stephen, is that if we want a bigger Australia, we need more Australian cities. You just can't keep stacking people up into 3 cities, really, Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane. It's crazy. And yes, there are water issues in Australia, but they're not in North Queensland. Yeah. In North Queensland, there's heaps of water. More than half our nation's water falls in 40% of the country in the north, and we don't have. In the north, our biggest city is roughly 200,000 people, right? That's 40% of our landmass. And so if we built some cities there, everybody could live comfortably in a good-sized town without the pressure on services that you're increasingly getting in a Sydney or a Melbourne. So, that's just something that seems to be beyond the Australian government over many years. It's not something we can do overnight. No. So it's something we can't do in the next couple of years, but there should be a long-term goal to spread our population out more, to use more of our landmass. That would make better lives for every Australian. Yeah,
I've often said that any city that has a population of over 100,000 people should be earmarked for some sort of expansion over the next 20 or 30 years. But unfortunately, that's forward thinking, Matt. We don't do that anymore.
No, it might take a few more lessons in the School of Hard Knocks before we do, Stephen.
Indeed. Good on you, mate. We'll catch up next week.
Thanks, mate.
M.Canavan, National Senator, back with us next week after the break.